You check your phone before breakfast, expecting the world to answer. You turn a handle and clean water rush is int your hands. Then humanity disappears, leaving every system waiting for someone, not dying in battle, but simply absent from the next moment. At first, nothing looks different because machines keep following instructions. Your refrigerator hums through, the silence faithfully preserving food nobody eats. But every modern convenience depends on people you never see. Someone balance is the grid delivers fuel, checks pressure, and repairs damage. Remove those people and the first collapse becomes almost invisible. The lights don't fail everywhere at once, they fail in layers. One neighborhood goes dark while another keeps pretending everything's normal. Would you notice the danger immediately or only when systems stop answering? The answer arrives through silence, not spectacle. Without operators, electricity generation and distribution progressively lose their balance. Fuel deliveries stop because there is nobody left to make them. Backup generators start, but backup plans also need human hands. Hospitals become islands of machinery surrounded by growing darkness. A ventilator may keep breathing, but nobody remains to watch it. Then the pumps stop, and water begins taking the lowest places. New York's subway system pumps away 13 million gallons every clear day. That's roughly 20 Olympic-size swimming pools fighting ground water beneath commuters. Without those pumps, the underground city starts losing immediately. Would the streets flood first or the hidden space is beneath them? The answer depends on location, but underground structures are especially vulnerable. Water doesn't need a dramatic storm when gravity keeps working. Escalators freeze, signals fade, and tunnels become dark reservoirs. Above ground, unattended buildings begin their slower surrender. A roof leak becomes a ceiling collapse because nobody patches it. Freeze-thaw cycles widen cracks that maintenance once kept harmless. Roots enter foundations, slowly turning architecture into soil. What fails next? A road, a roof, or a bridge? There isn't one answer because water chews is every weakness. Roads fracture while sediment begins rebuilding waterways. Humans straightened. USGS dam removal research shows rivers can respond quickly when barriers disappear. An abandoned dam wouldn't vanish, but its control would slowly weaken. Then a storm finds the neglected seam and opens it wider. Behind that failure, a managed river starts, remembering its old shape. Meanwhile, reactors automatically shut down when their systems detect trouble. That sounds like safety, but shutdown doesn't mean instantly cold. Fission stops while decay heat keeps demanding cooling. The IAEA says cooling systems must keep operating for several days. Imagine a long weekend where nobody arrives to check the plant. The exact outcome varies with design, backup power, fuel, and site. So this isn't an instant explosion story, it's a maintenance problem. Some systems endure longer, while others lose their margin sooner. Would the planet notice our absence before the cities do? Wildlife wouldn't wait for permission. Open corridors would appear everywhere. Mowing stops, lighting stops, traffic stops, and vegetation surges outward. A parking lot becomes a patch of ground with fewer rules. Birds enter spaces that once belonged to engines and pedestrians. At night, the missing glow change is the behavior of nocturnal animals. But nature's return isn't automatically gentle or balanced. Abandoned domestic animals could struggle, spread, or form new pressures. Invasive species would keep moving through landscapes nobody manages. The city becomes an ecological corridor, not a sealed machine. And the loudest change may come from one famous exclusion zone. Around Chernobyl, one study found more than 7 times as many wolves. Picture 7 wolves occupying space where one might have been expected. Does that prove radiation is harmless? Absolutely not. Other research finds radiation-related harm affecting some mammals there. The lesson is harsher. Removing human pressure can reshape wildlife strongly. Recovery and damage can occupy the same landscape. Farther away, abandoned farms begin changing without harvests. Fields become patchier as weeds and shrubs take the open ground. Hunting ends, but that doesn't make every species safe. Food webs reorganize around whoever can exploit the new gaps. Your city would become greener and louder at the same time. Yet your home would become a shell almost immediately. Photos remain, but nobody turns them over or explains who smiles. Hospitals hold silent rooms filled with equipment, waiting for attention. Libraries preserve human voices until moisture and decay begin rewriting them. The emotional contrast is almost unbearable. Life returns while memory fades. Would any animal understand what these places were for? Probably not, because animals inherit structures without inheriting their stories. They'll use shadows, warmth, food, and shelter whenever those advantage is last. The meaning disappears first. The material lasts much longer. That material becomes the planet's newest geological layer. Because disappearance doesn't mean the climb, it instantly resets. Carbon dioxide already added to the atmosphere keeps influencing climate. Oceans and ecosystems gradually absorb some, but the response takes time. NASA compares human emissions with volcanoes to show the imbalance. Humanity adds roughly 30 billion tons of carbon dioxide each year. NASA describes that as roughly 100 to 300 times volcanic emissions. We'd stop adding the pulse, but not erase its echo. In June 2026, NASA reports atmospheric carbon dioxide at 431 parts per million. That's about 1.5 times the estimate. It'd level around 1750. Those numbers aren't an apocalypse clock. They're fingerprints left behind. Ice cores preserve 800,000 years of climate history. That record is longer than agriculture and civilization combined. Against that deep record, our industrial pulse is brief but unmistakable. So what would remain after our cities finally crumble? Plastic would persist as fragments buried beneath future sediments. Concrete would fracture into mineral-looking piece is with a very human origin. Metals would corrode, but some trace could survive underground. Radioactive materials would mock place is where our technology burned hottest. Extinct species would remain absent, even as other wildlife expands. Changed species range would show that Earth never simply round. The future wouldn't be prehuman, it would be posthuman. Nature isn't restoring a saved file, it's building from damage. Could the planet call that healing? Only if healing means continuing, not returning to what was. The old cities fade, but their consequence is keep traveling. Sediment carries concrete, plastic, and industrial residue. Downstream, ice records our atmosphere long after voices have vanished. Rocks preserve the shapes of foundations beneath future forests. Radioactive isotopes preserve the timing of our technological age. Animals won't remember humanity, but Earth will carry evidence. That's the strange final twist. Disappearance isn't erasure. Our greatest systems fail because they were never self-sustaining. Our greatest legacy survives because it no longer needs permission. The pumps stop, the lights fade, and the water keeps rising. Then roots split the roads that once carried everyone everywhere. Wildlife fills the silence, but the silence contains our contamination. Even absence becomes a force shaping the next world. So when you look around today, notice what depends on you. The water, warmth, light, and order aren't automatic gifts. They're temporary agreements between people and machines. Remove the people and the planet doesn't die. It changes direction, carrying everything we left behind. Not back to Eden, but forward into something stranger. A world without humans wouldn't be empty for long. It would be full of consequence, is quietly becoming permanent. And that leaves one question: were we ever the owners? Or were we only the maintenance crew, briefly keeping chaos contained? Because once the crew disappears, the system keeps writing its next chapter, and Earth keeps the record.